My warmest hello to all of you who are watching this. My name is Aileene Cropp and I'm the director and founder of Agape People Coaching for Top Achievers. So as I promised you, we're going to talk a little bit about why people procrastinate. So I want you to think about it right now. Write it down if that helps. Why do you think you procrastinate? What's the common reasons and themes behind your procrastination? Research shows that some of the most common reasons that people procrastinate are because that they don't know what to do, they don't know when to do it, they don't care about doing it, or they don't care about when it's done, or they forgot, or they think they work better under pressure, or they feel that it's not the right time, they're not feeling that it's the right time or in the moment. That is some of the most common reasons why people procrastinate. Now, I want to cover with you in depth a little bit more about some of those reasons. So the first reason that I want to cover with you is because of dishonesty. Now, what do I mean by dishonesty? First of all, the first kind of dishonesty is that you're dishonest about your goals. You're dishonest about whether you actually really care enough about that goal, whether you actually want to do it or not. The question to ask yourself is it your goal or is it someone else's goal? Or is it a goal that you think you should have because society says you should have that goal? Is it truly your goal? The second kind of dishonesty is when you're dishonest about yourself. And what I mean is this: are you the right person for this goal? Do you have the time for this goal? Do you have the resources for this goal at this point? So you're being dishonest about yourself. And the final kind of dishonesty is where you're dishonest to other people. So, for example, how many of you have, when, there's somebody else that you don't really like, but they ask you out for dinner and you keep making excuses and you keep finding ways to not go to dinner and you keep saying, oh yeah, I'd love to, but I'm just so busy this week. Maybe we'll try again next month. How many of you have done that before? Be honest. Well, that's dishonesty with others, where you're not really telling them the truth and you just procrastinate to put them off, or you say you're going to do something for them and you just procrastinate, you just don't do it because you don't actually want to do it. Now, the second reason why people procrastinate is because of distractions. Now, as I mentioned before, distractions can come in many forms. It can be an external distraction such as online surfing, Facebook media, interruptions in your day, those kinds of things. Or it could be internal distractions such as you feel bored and you want to do something else, or you feel really excited about something, or you just new idea just came in and you're thinking of pursuing something else. I struggle with this myself a lot, and I believe a lot of entrepreneurs do this as well, where you're just distracted by a new bright shiny object when you face an obstacle with what you're currently doing. In fact, probably a lot of us struggle with this. And I used to think to myself that if I don't do anything about that distraction, if I just leave it, but I'm thinking about it whether I can work on it or not. I'm not actually wasting my time. But what I found was this: the very fact that you're thinking about it, that you're considering it, that you're working out whether it can be done or not, that's already a mental distraction. You're already mentally not focused on your current goal and your task, and you're already thinking about something else. That's a mental distraction. And the same emotionally as well, works in the same way. So a lot of us procrastinate because we are distracted in some way and some form. We're not fully focused on what we're trying to achieve. Now, I want to give you an illustration about the power of focus. Imagine that you're standing in a hot desert, somewhere in Africa, for example, and the sun is really, really hot, shining down on you, and you've got a newspaper on the ground and a magnifying glass in your hand. If you move the magnifying glass, let me just hold something that looks like a magnifying glass or represents that. Imagine it's a newspaper and that's a magnifying glass. If you move your magnifying glass over the newspaper remains unchanged. But if you focus the magnifying glass on a single spot on the newspaper, what happens to the newspaper? It starts to burn, doesn't it? Well, that's the power of focus. It's the difference between a laser beam light that can cut through steel or a floodlight that doesn't really change the environment around it. And for some of us, the reason why we're not really making progress, we keep procrastinating and we're not finding the resources and energy to achieve our goals, it's because we're constantly distracted. We're constantly dispersing our mental focus, our emotional commitment to something, and our actions. Now, the third reason why we procrastinate is because of disorganization. And what I mean is this: you haven't actually organized your day, you haven't actually planned out your day, you don't actually know, you don't actually have a schedule for your day. Disorganization. The Dominican University of California did a recent study on the importance of actually writing down your goals, creating an action plan, writing them down, and then sharing it with a friend or just somebody else. It could be, your family member, someone who will keep you accountable, a coach, sharing with someone else, and then producing a weekly progress report. And just by doing that, you increase your success rate from 48% to 76%. So you see, it makes real sense for you to write down your action plans and be accountable for them, to be organized about it. One of my colleagues coaches athletes to the Olympics, and there was a girl that he was working with who wanted to get on the national netball team. And one of the things that he made her do, despite however exhausting her day had been, was to stay back the end of every day and work on her action plan every single day. And she used to cry and complain to my colleagues saying, "Why are you making me do this? None of my other teammates are doing it. They're just going home to relax and have fun, and I'm stuck back here doing this." And he used to say to her, "Just do it and you will see." And you know what? Out of the entire group of girls that tried to get on the netball team, she was the only one who got on the national netball team. See, that's the power of making sure that you are working on your action plans, that you are organized, that you know exactly what you're doing with your time. Fourth reason why we tend to procrastinate is due to a sense of difficulty about the task we have at hand, or a feeling of doom. I want to share, this sense that a task is going to be difficult is a form of mental barrier. It's something that mentally makes us want to move away from it, makes us want to shut down. Now, I want to share with you an illustration about this, about the power of mental barriers. Back in the 1940s, there was a myth that a human being could not run a mile under 4 minutes. And this myth had come about because for many years, athletes had not been able to do it. And so sports commentators started saying that it was actually physically impossible for a human being to run a mile under 4 minutes. That our muscle capacity was not able to do it, that we're not created to do that, all sorts of stuff. And people started to believe it. And so it became a myth. And for many, many, many years, people were unable to break that 4-minute mark. Now, a man named Roger Bannister broke it in 1954. As he was trying to train for the Olympics. He actually managed to run the mile under 4 minutes. But this was the interesting thing. Within 2 months, his nearest rival also broke it and ran the mile under 4 minutes. So quickly, another person was able to also perform and do the same thing. Now, what was the difference that happened within that 2 months? Was it because he grew longer legs, or he got better running gear, or he got on drugs? It's not drugs. It was because a mental barrier had been broken. What was believed to be impossible was now seen to be possible. And so everyone has started doing it since then. In fact, today, the mile under 4 minutes, that is the standard for all male professional runners. Now, if we take an illustration from the insect kingdom, according to the law of aerodynamics, the bumblebee that you see flying around is not meant to be able to fly. And that is because its body weight is so heavy and its wingspan is too small for it to be able to fly. But the bumblebee flies. Why? Well, number one, the bumblebee doesn't know about the law of aerodynamics. And number two, frankly, it doesn't care. So I want you to think, I'm better than a bumblebee, aren't I? Humor aside, let's go on to the fifth reason why people procrastinate. Disorientation. And what I mean by disorientation is this: you're not really sure what you should be doing with your time, you're not really sure what you should be putting your actions on, what you should be focusing on, and you're just not sure what step to take. And if you stay disorientated, you don't look for solutions, you don't seek help, you continue to procrastinate. And a lot of people fall into this category where they're not sure what they should be doing or when they should be doing it or in what order they should be doing it. And so they just continue to procrastinate instead of trying to find a solution, ask someone for help, find an answer. So I hope that this has been helpful for you, and thank you so much for spending your time with me. And remember this, that my greatest hope for you is for you to have and spend time on things that are truly important to you so that you can be your best self, that you can live your absolute best life, and that you will live with no regret.